morning. It's 11 o'clock, so it's time for our next conversation with 50 Days to 50. I am looking forward to introducing you to my friend, Carolyn Lillehaugen, because I've known Carolyn for a while, but I don't know her really well. So we will sort of learn some things together. So let's bring her to the screen. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, it's good to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you said yes. Thank you so much for your time and in anticipation of great answers, because I know you'll have some. You and I are both boy moms, Carolyn, and I do think that makes for a unique perspective. You have many more boys than I do, but still, there's an interesting dynamic when you only have boys.
Absolutely. And we don't plan how that's all going to turn out, but I'm really delighted. When I was pregnant with our fourth son. I know a lot of people were asking, "Ooh, do you hope to have a girl?" And we kind of didn't answer the question because in the depths of our heart, we were actually hoping for another boy.
Well, there
But
you go.
yeah, we didn't. Our first two sons are under 2 years apart, and they were best friends. And then we had this third son, and we had this other baby coming, and we were actually hopeful for another really, really good friend. And in the end, we have the friendships they have are some of the strongest friendships I've ever seen. It's really neat.
Yeah, that's really a gift. Lucky them and lucky you. It doesn't always
Yeah,
go that way.
I know. Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, let's jump right into the questions because I don't want you to be rushed. Tell us one or two things that you knew before 50 that have served you well since you turned 50.
Um, it is so fun to think about these kinds of things. I guess my mom was a very wise woman. Even though her mantra for parenting was healthy neglect, and I certainly had plenty of that. But she would put out these nuggets of wisdom, and she was a firm believer in inspiration, which I think I am too. That when you get a message or an idea, listen to it and go with it,
Mm,
and don't rush it. Sometimes you need to just allow. You don't have the solution in your mind, and rushing it can just make you all stressed out and
mm.
create a situation that's not necessary. So go with the inspiration was an early piece of information that was just part of my life. And then be of service. Don't If ever as a young girl I had a feeling of being left out or unhappy with how something was going, I I'm sure I got this from my mom too. Um, I had that understanding that quit focusing on yourself, get out there and give and serve to someone else, and your own um, issues or concerns will get into a new perspective, and you'll actually be having fun doing something useful and quit worrying about the problem.
Yeah, it's sort of that right sizing of thinking about yourself in relation to other people and seeing that you're not quite as important as you think you are. And there's always
Exactly.
someone you can be reaching out to, lifting up, serving in their own way. And you're right, that notion that when you stop focusing on yourself, it actually improves how you see yourself as well.
Completely. I
Yeah.
really have learned that over and over again.
Yeah, Carolyn, I just want to touch on this because I really love this notion of healthy neglect.
Uh-huh.
I think that is a phrase that people from our generation understand, and younger generations, I think, kind of don't, because parenting is very different today than it was when you and I were growing up. But I really love that idea, um, because it's a little bit like always having a device in your hands. If you're never left to your own devices, how do you dream and grow and try and fail and achieve? And how do you do all that if someone's constantly hovering over you, or if you're constantly connected to media and you don't ever have that kind of, I wonder what would happen if I did this? I think there's a lot
Exactly.
of value to healthy neglect. Doesn't sound very positive, but I think it really does have real value and real importance.
It does. It does. I think it nurtures creativity and problem solving and so many of those intricate, those internal skills that we want in ourselves and in our children. Um, when we had the distinct privilege of raising our children in a neighborhood that was incredibly safe in South Moorhead,
Mhm.
um, our address was 1009 South River Drive, and it's now the house is gone because of flood buyouts. But we were of other families had been living there for years. We moved into this house. It was kind of a neighborhood where you sort of had to um, interview to get in.
Okay.
And the people who had built our house lived 5 houses away. They built it for their in-laws when they moved off the farm years ago. Too much detail here. Anyway, we had a several acre, probably 10, 12 acre area behind our house that had been a vegetable garden, truck garden for years, but now it was in a residential area and it backed up to the river. So we had this huge, huge area of nothing.
Mhm.
And my living room window looked out over it. So I could allow our kids to go out and they would. They they were the little kids who would be gone for 3 hours. I knew where they were because
Mhm.
this is a different time. This was,
Yep,
Jacob Wetterling happened the year we had a baby. So that influenced our lives.
of course.
But so we were really fortunate. Our kids had hours of unstructured play. There were times when I would have to go out and say, "Okay, you guys, I am taking away all the weapons, and you are going to have to think up a new game." But
Yeah. Yeah,
so
well, that's just a little parenting quip on the side because I do think, boy, it's really important, and we don't need to go further into it, but I just wanted to highlight it because
yeah,
I really do think there's real value in it, and it is kind of a lost art for lots of reasons, legitimate and not. Okay, let's move
exactly.
on. What do you know
Okay.
now, Carolyn, that you wish you could go back and tell your younger self and put your younger self wherever you want to on your continuum?
Yeah. I think be brave. I don't know that I was always as brave as I should be. I had lots and lots of skills and abilities, and I often um, put them out there in very careful increments so that I didn't either offend other people or get shut back down.
Mhm.
Um, and those things happen to everyone. And um, I would love to tell that girl to be even braver.
Yeah. I'm working, in my personal stuff with some marketing women, these fantastic women who just said to me the other day, Dana, your work can't be for everyone or it's kind of for no one. Some people have to actively dislike what you're doing or it really isn't going to matter.
Wow.
And I thought,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that is true. I mean, the most successful people you think about are not successful because they please everyone. They're successful because they're pursuing something singular to them. And you either get on board with it or you don't. And if you don't get on board with it, I mean, if I think about it in my case, I wish you well. It's not that you're wrong to not resonate with me, but I can't resonate for everyone. And I think
Hmm.
that's about being brave and just being comfortable with here's who I am, here's what I can do, love to join you, and it's okay if you don't want to. That's a hard
Exactly.
place.
Yep. And there were many instances where there were some opportunities that I didn't jump on as well as I should have. I got put in, I was in a high school that was 7 through 12. So you know the
Mm,
size,
yep,
56 in my graduating class.
okay.
So because I was I was put in the the best band because I played French horn and they needed me. And um, then I missed out on junior high choir. So
Uh-huh,
I actually was chosen to be in the junior senior best choir, and they put me in there, and I got chosen for a solo, and it made all the junior, senior girls mad, and I backed off, and I shouldn't have, but I
Yeah.
did.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good example. You probably wouldn't have gone on to a career as a singer, but why shouldn't you have gotten what you earned?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
probably singing is one of those things I love that I, um, should be braver at, and you know what? Here's a lesson for when you get over 50.
Okay.
You do lose your voice.
Oh,
Your singing voice, I'm sad it's not what it used to be, and
yeah.
I think the only way to keep it is to practice.
Yeah, I do think you can retain some of it, but you're right. Our women's voice boxes just don't hold up. It's why a really, really elderly choir can be a little bit challenging to listen to sometimes. But I love that people are still doing it. Singing, like all
Yeah.
the arts, is a lifetime pursuit. You just have to recognize that your pursuit of it evolves and changes over time.
Mhm.
Okay, last question for you, Carolyn. What are some of the most joyful aspects of being 50 and beyond?
Um, I thought about this one ahead of time because I knew you would ask, and, I loved being a mom and having my children at home. Absolutely loved it. But there's time freedom.
Yeah.
Well, you get to make different decisions when you aren't thinking about, oh, is this person going to have food and the things they need to do the things they need? When you're responsible for children at home, there's a big time commitment and it's fun. And I really did love every stage of it, but time freedom, um, financial um, ability to do things a little different when we no longer have to pay for 6 people to get into an event,
Yep.
which we did for all those years.
Yep.
Now we can choose 2 people can afford it a little, something that we might not have chosen to afford for 6. More time to read good books.
Mhm.
Um, let's see what else. Um, I my health and wellness business is thriving now, and that's largely due to time to serve others because this stage in my life gives me more time. I kind of have 2 jobs. I also mentor for Moorhead High School. I mentor first and second year teachers, and this stage of life, I recognize the importance of listening well and asking questions.
Mm.
Yes, I have in my role as a mentor, I have specific things that the school hopes I will accomplish with these first year teachers. And I am very aware of that and try very much to do well for them. But um, I they're not going to have a test at the end of the year of if I got everything covered.
Mhm.
So I have luxury of asking questions and listening well and making decisions about which direction we go in um, the mentorship program or in the other things I do. So
Mhm.
it's time.
Yeah, boy, that has been my experience too, and because I had my son young, I became an empty nester young. I mean, that's how that goes. And so I am 8 years into empty nesting, and even though I only had 1, everything you said really resonates for me. Buying 3 plane tickets is different than buying 2 plane tickets. Going to dinner for 3 people, particularly if it's a boy, boys are, sturdy, robust eaters. I just it everything changes. You don't have to make much more money to feel like you've got quite a bit more money, and then the time to say, what do I want to pursue today, even
Mhm,
around still full-time jobs and all those other commitments? There's just a different opening up of your ability to look out at the landscape and say, how do I want to spend the day? And that's pretty extraordinary.
mhm, mhm. And kind of all ties back to that serving others is really what parenting is.
Yes.
But we have to remember that we don't want to serve them into um, hampering them
Helplessness.
from developing their own skills. We want them to become complete independent, um, proud of themselves adults.
Yeah.
And so,
I always said when when Quinn was on the other side of leaving, I said, this sort of feels like a punishment for doing my job well. Like if you raise smart, articulate kids ready to go out and try things, you really feel like somehow you lost, even though you intellectually understand it's exactly how it's supposed to go. It is a hard thing to be so invested in someone in such an intimate way and suddenly have that intimacy completely upended. It doesn't stop. It's just very, very different. And so I
You
think
you
there's great
laugh
joy
about
on that side of it, and there's great joy on this side of it.
yeah. We, our kids traveled with us to all 50, well, 49 of the 50 states. They missed Hawaii. We did that after they were gone.
That was wise.
Um, but to all the 49 of the rest of the states, and now Mark and I joke, why did we do that? Because now they all live 1,500 miles away. Could we not have had them maybe just be real
Like
close?
state
But no.
parks? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you do such a good job, they go really, really far away. I have that problem too, but then I guess I try to think of it as, yeah, but I have a fun place to go visit.
Exactly. We do too.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, thank you for joining me. Thanks for your answers. I really, really enjoyed this time together, and it was fun to talk about being a boy mom.
Yep. Being a boy mom is a really big treat. I'm delighted that was the lot I drew.
Yeah, me too. Have a
Yeah.
fantastic day. Thanks again, everyone else. I will see you tomorrow for a pre-recorded conversation that you will not want to miss. So see you tomorrow at 11. Thanks so much. Bye.